Hey guys, so this is part two of my Renaissance Act 2 video. Now, like I said, we're getting more closer into the album. There is 16 days left until the album release. Now, the album will be released on March 29th, 2024. Now, as we embark on our Renaissance on my channel, we are still talking about what the title of the Cowboy Carter means and what is the connection between that. Now, from one things I started researching about is that there was a family named the Carter before the announced the name that we know that associates with Beyonce. Now, the Carter family was the first country family in music, from what I was hearing, and that they kind of had a connection between that with the Great Depression, and that they were the family that definitely brought more mainstream into the country music. Now, the play name of the Carter, definitely Beyonce has did her work in this album. I think that this album is gonna resonate with a lot of people. She's connecting bridges that you would never expect. She's connecting bridges with artists. She's connecting bridges with people. Now, there was a debate that was going around a couple of months or further on after Taylor Swift Eras tour. Um, Everybody kept saying who is the bigger artist and stuff. But when you have two artists, it's especially one that is still pioneering ways to bring back genres to the black community and finding connections that usually didn't match up. She's paving the way for a lot of new artists and artists that was already there that didn't was wasn't able to be seen, because when we think about country, um like for me, I love country because I remember waking up not having cable, right? We had a radio in our room and we were listening to Shania Twain, right? A lot of people don't know Shania Twain. A lot of people don't give her credit for a lot of things, but Shania Twain have done she's crossed over so many boundaries to be considered as a um artist of country. And Shania Twain has so many different hits, and you guys could look up her name. She is definitely one of the bigger staples in the genre also. If we're still talking, Taylor Swift came from country and then crossed over and became a pop star and everything. So country definitely has its roots into black culture, especially the instruments, right? So if you're looking at history, right, I'm very big on history and educating people on my channel as well. The banjo and the different instrument that the banjo evolved to make country sound, and the acoustic levels and the different elements that makes up. So Beyonce, I think, like I mentioned before, there was a video I did, and I'm gonna see if I could pull that video up. If I find it, I'll resurface it. Beyonce's this album, this Renaissance trilogy, it's bigger than what we expected, and I think this one day people will look back. This will be like the Thriller of our generation, and people could fight me on this because Beyonce's paving ways to artists and future artists that didn't have a voice. And the fact that she's always the first to do something challenging and daring, that's very important. On top of that, she has done things before in the past. This is why I said that it's very important to start collecting certain things that is historical. I think that my first historical thing that I did is that I started buying the vinyls of certain artists, and I'm also planning on buying everything from the Renaissance because I think this is a pivotal point in the music industry, especially the shifting of culture and connections. Because I think long ago, rap was something that a lot of people gravitate to, and they still do. But now, country's getting its shine, and there's nobody better to do it than Beyonce right now. You know, I think this is breaking boundaries And what's cool is that this reminds me of a scene where there was a music video, black and white, by Michael Jackson, and how he was shifting the people's faces, and they were changing different cultures, like to blur the barrier line of that at the end of the day we're a human race. It doesn't matter your color or your orientation. We are all human. Bleed We all bleed the same blood. We bleed red. And that, I think, the pivotal point of this cover of the saddle is that this gonna have a double entendre, and I'll explain why. For one, I think that the saddle means that look how hard the blacks country or black history had to ride in order for them to get into country, right? And there's so many meaning behind her just having the saddle without having herself on the cover of the, if this is gonna be the definitive cover of the album, it's gonna have a lot of meaning, especially the ribbon that has the red, white, and blue. And look at the separation, right? Look at the separation between the blue could be a representation of black, and then the red could be a representation of Caucasian, and in the middle it's like all these things are gonna be meeting together. And I think that's very, very important that people understand what she's planning on doing, because I think this is a very pivotal point. Like I said, the two songs that she released, 16 Carriages, the small trailer basically explains like everything that I'm trying to say. And like people used to associate country with like hillbilly and all that crazy stuff. Like I said, country is a very down to earth genre, and that it needed the right hands to be delicate enough to treat it like that. Um, Definitely Beyonce is gonna be doing something spectacular. She even got her endorsement by Dolly Partner. I think she's one of the heavy hitters, also legends. She was also the person that wrote "I Will Always Love You," that Whitney Houston infamously took as one of her biggest hits of all time, especially part of the Bodyguard soundtrack. So definitely, this is gonna be a hit. I'm definitely counting that it's gonna have so many bangers on there that people are gonna not be surprised what she's gonna be doing. And I think we just might get a Telephone part two, and I'm praying on that because Beyonce, also Lady Gaga, if I'm not to mention, she managed to dip herself into um the country thing before with Joanne, her last album that she did before Chromatica. And you guys could look back on that as well, which was 2016. And Beyonce also hit that when she had released Daddy's Lessons, when she released that as well. If you look more into her website, you see the two cover of the Act 2 Renaissance and the songs, Texas Hold'em and 16 Carriages. Now, I haven't listened to the whole thing, but I love the cover. The cover looks very appealing. If it was up to me, I definitely want to see her use this cover, and then the back cover could be this, or it could be reversed. It doesn't matter, but I'm liking that she's referencing so many things. Like, for an example, she's been referencing this album since the Black is King album, and people haven't realized that when she did the song with Major Lazer and Shatta Wali with Already, and she was dressed with this like print, like it's almost like this cow print, right? She was referencing this a lot with the pose. And I kept saying this on my channel. I'm like, Beyonce is gonna be dropping something, and it's referencing that from Black is King. Like, Beyonce is a very tactical artist. You know, she doesn't have to say much until it's time. Like, I look how edgy it is. You could even say this edgy look could be for reference things in the future. This could be a rock star look, because she looks kind of like Tina Turnerish. right? So, like I said, so many things that she's planning on doing. I love this look so damn much. I don't know why, but it gravitates. It's so much. There's so much that are being done right now, and I think what she planned on doing for this album is gonna pave legacies for future artists and for years to come, because who better to do this than the most Grammy artist of all time? And I think if this doesn't get her album of the year, I'm sorry to say, but she needs to ban and like boycott the Grammys for that, because next year is gonna be a heavy hitter year, because not only she's releasing, Taylor Swift is releasing on the 14th, if I'm not mistaken, the Tortured Department album. So it's a lot of things that are gonna be dropping in the next couple of days. So, like I said, this is my whole backstory on this, and I will be reviewing the Texas Hold'em visual and as well as the 16 carriage one. I'm gonna be reacting to both of them because, like I said, we're gonna be wrapping up the Renaissance Act 1 on my channel this week, and then by next week we will usher in the Renaissance Act 2. So you guys may get a 10 uploads all at once. So to wrap up this week, because this is a spring break era, I'm covering so many things that I didn't have time for due to the fact of school schedule. But like I said, I appreciate that you guys stick with me, that I'm able to cover this with you guys, and at the same time to give my backstory and what I think about what this album is going to be. And like I said, the Renaissance, the entire aura of this era. Mind you, this is Beyonce's what, eighth album. I wanted to also mention that I remember I said something back in my previous videos that I think she's paving homage to not only the history of the Carter family, right? But it's playing a double entendre. But at the same time, she's also paying homage to her son, which is Sir Carter. She's somewhat paying homage to her kids. I definitely have a feeling about that. And her lineage, you know, she is a Texas girl, right? She comes from Texas. Her family and her mom and dad, Texas, Bama, you know, she already announced that information, that, you know, all that. So definitely, we're gonna be also covering the Super Bowl ad that she did, and I will reference to you that why these ads were also part of the visuals. I remember my first video I mentioned that the stage will change based accordingly to the different acts. So it will follow exactly what I'm mentioning, because there was a scene in the Renaissance film which we will be covering, because that film hasn't come out to streaming yet, and I will explain to you guys why. One, she hasn't dropped it because there's other parts to the film. I don't think this is the entire film. Two, the film referenced that the entire stage, she had to come up with different amalgamation of the stage. I think she picked out of the best top three, and those top three stages will be accordingly to the different act. I think there is gonna be a fourth act, and I'm gonna keep referencing that until you guys understand. The fourth act will be the entire visuals all together. But I think Act 2 will sprinkle a little bit of visuals, since we didn't have it in the previous album. Act 4 or Act 3 will be very in your face. It'll probably be the most rock starish look that Beyonce is gonna get, because they reference that she cut her hair before. We don't know why, but I think she's gonna go so natural, but also very edgy, right? When you think of rock stars, how edgy they are. I know I'm gonna ranting on this so long, but like I said, there's so much that we could talk about before this album release, and I can't wait for you guys to hear what I think about this. And please like and subscribe, because the party doesn't stop here. There's so much that we're gonna be covering, and I can't wait for you guys to see what we're gonna be covering for the month of the rest of March and going into April. But like I said, guys, thank you guys so much. I'll see you guys in the next video, and I am your host, Sleepy Celestial, and I am signing out. Bye bye, guys.